So there we go. Okay. All right. Good. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Michelle Higgs, and I'm the founder of the Indiana Rural Summit. The Indiana Rural Summit started in 2024 with 3 simple goals: to support candidates committed to amplifying the voices of rural and small town Hoosiers, to increase voter turnout, and to hold legislators accountable who for too long put party and profits over people. Indiana's low voter turnout showed us that momentum had to be built out intentionally and together. And so we launched a summer tour, traveling like a band on the road, because no matter the score, the band always wins. It doesn't quit, it builds momentum, it moves the crowd, and proves our founding belief again and again that every voice matters. What began with 12 candidates representing 30 counties covering 34% of southern Indiana has now more than doubled to include candidates representing more than 60 counties and covering more than 65% of the state, including central and northern Indiana. You can see behind me the many members of the Indiana Rural Summit that have driven here today from all parts of the state to officially file to run in their Indiana House and Senate districts. This is not just the largest mass filing in memory, it is a symbol of a united commitment of these candidates to represent rural and small town Hoosiers through a coordinated effort across urban, rural, suburban together. This is an unprecedented and historic moment. Statehouse watchers say they've never seen such a large coordinated filing of candidates that share a single vision. Our clear vision is that rural and small town Hoosiers have big ideas and can make a big impact on the issues that matter most to all Hoosiers: affordable and accessible health care, living wages, strong public education, clean air, water, soil, and so much more. During this election cycle, our coalition candidates will share resources including training, technology, and research in a bid to help more vision-aligned candidates contest more races and win seats in the General Assembly. Our coalition will work to amplify local voices, reduce duplication of effort, and strengthen down-ballot races in an effort to increase voter turnout in communities too often overlooked by traditional political infrastructure. Indiana's challenges, from healthcare access and housing to public education, childcare, and economic stability, do not stop at gerrymandered district lines. This moment in time calls for deeper coordination, shared resources, and collaborative leadership. The Indiana Rural Summit is built to do exactly that. This group filing is about visibility and solidarity. Our motto is E pluribus unum, out of many, one. Where they see communities and counties they can fracture by gerrymandering, we see coalition builders. That is how we build power together. Lots of people in politics talk a big game but deliver nothing for the people. They only care about money and partisan politics. We are committed to delivering solutions to broken systems that have left our communities behind. And it starts with building trust and putting people back at the center of policy. The Indiana Rural Summit is committed to giving rural and small town Hoosiers a voice, a choice, and a vote in 2026. We live in a time when so many have grown disillusioned by the power of money that they've forgotten to believe in the power of people. Our job is to help people believe again. So with that, I'm available to answer any questions you may have, and before our first batch of candidates files with the Secretary of State.
How the redistricting debate in Indiana went through could ultimately shape this year's primaries.
So the question is how the redistricting event is going to be shaping the primary and how we were impacted by that. Yes, the Indiana Rural Summit, because we do look at the impact of gerrymandering, it was something at the very forefront for us. But where they look at it as fracturing, we mobilized base. So we showed up at the Statehouse to lend our voices that redistricting was a power grab to remove power from the people. And the Indiana Rural Summit is about power to the people, and it will be part of every candidate's campaign to bring power back to the people.
Could you also speak to larger infrastructure? You had mentioned that many of these races, the infrastructure hasn't been there historically for the Democratic Party. Could you speak to that as the beginning of a long-term conversation to make more of these races competitive long-term?
Yes, so that question was about the lack of infrastructure, and we talk about that especially in our rural communities where there has not been investment either from a political infrastructure or even economic infrastructure. And so what has happened is our rural communities have been left behind at the point of their civic engagement. And so part of the thing, and when we talk about giving rural and small town Hoosiers a voice, a choice, and a vote, that key element there is choice. People will not show up to vote if there isn't a choice on the ballot. They will not understand the impact that is happening from legislation in the Statehouse if they don't have messengers telling them what is happening and connecting it to where they live. So it is absolutely vital that we have people running for office at every office holder. And we're not going to get there until we actually start challenging some races. And the Indiana Rural Summit looked at House and Senate races as being key to mobilize a greatest number of people and grassroots organizations. And so that is what we are building, is that coalition and what we call a mycelium network of people power.
Are you hoping that there's some more momentum for these candidates because of the threats to primary engaging the president and the governor, the primary that the Republicans voted against redistricting? Do you think that will help?
I think that any time these candidates are able to share their vision, their platform, and why they're running, they will be centered. What is happening with people being primaried because of national politics is actually a distraction of the power that these people are building. And one of the challenges that we have is that most people know more about what's happening nationally and maybe even hyper-local, and they have no understanding of the power that is wielded from this Statehouse that is hidden to them. And so anytime that there is an opportunity for these candidates to share their message is bringing more power back to people to make an informed choice.
Can you talk about specifically, when we talk about rural and small communities, what issues do do they have that are not currently being handled in the Statehouse? How can having more people from small communities, what voices need to be amplified? What issues will be brought up?
I think all of the issues are very similar, like we talked about with public education and healthcare. Healthcare is a particularly key issue because our rural hospitals have been so at risk, but also education. When for example, they decide to increase school vouchers and they are funneling money from rural communities into the coffers of private businesses, essentially, without any accountability. But our rural schools are most impacted because they don't have the same resources. And as a matter of fact, one of our candidates lives in a county where they don't have charter schools and private schools, and yet they have lost thousands of dollars to vouchers. So when they talk about the money follows the student, that is not true. And we cannot amplify that unless we actually have candidates in those districts saying, this is what's happening, boots on the ground. When you take money from here, it shows up in this way. It shows up with a shuttered door. We did, earlier last year, we did a motorcade for Medicaid to drive around to see all of the rural hospitals that would be at risk of closure or even just having certain wings of departments closed. And one of the things that struck me was Indiana is not so much a rural state like, let's say, Montana or Wyoming. We are a collection of small towns that have been shuttered over decades of lack of investment. And when you see that the only options in some of these places is a gas station, a liquor store, and a Dollar General, and you're being told that if that Dollar General goes, then that's the end of the town. That is not economic development. That is not investment into the people. And if they're not listening to the people from those communities, then they're not making wise choices. And so that's why these people are here. They're here to amplify the voices of their constituents in lived reality and not just a policy theory that is being marketed to us from out of state people. Thank you. Okay, any more questions?
Are your candidates, are they bipartisan group? Are they Democrats? Are they independents? Can you talk about the parties where these individuals are
So we are a coalition of candidates. Our candidates today are filing as Democrats. And again, we are in a situation where we have a single party that is running everything without accountability. And our goal is to bring accountability back and to bring more voices to the table. So these candidates today, they will be filing as Democratic candidates. We also have several more that are arriving this afternoon. And we have a group now that will be going to the Secretary of State's office. But in order to not overwhelm our election officials, we will be actually filing throughout the day. We are expecting around 24 candidates. Yes. Thank you.
Is there any room for any more rural candidates to join and get support from?
Absolutely. We would love to have more candidates participate with us, and especially more community leaders and volunteers that are willing to support these candidates and more. You can learn more about us by going to indianaruralsummit.org. And you may email me at Michelle, Michelle, at indianaruralsummit.org. Thank you. You all have your signs, or many of you have your signs with your name on it. If you want to just hold,
Didn't get all of them.
Okay, hand them out. So, and then I can take this away, and then you guys